I know what you're thinking. What happened 7 years ago? What could possibly be special about May 13th? It's just May 13th, right? Well, I'm going to bring you up to speed, and I'm going to do it quickly and give you the very short version, but it's special enough. I brought myself out to eat at a restaurant here in Bangkok, and I'm eating roasted duck and some kind of sweet banana stuff, and it looks really good. So, as you guys know, I normally don't do that. I usually hit the 55, 60 baht per meal food courts when I go out. Stay tuned. I'm going to tell you what all this is about. I remember the lights. That was the first thing I remember. And it was like they were so bright. And the pain in my throat, I couldn't figure out what it was. It was this intense, like, squeeze on my vocal cords and my airway. And when I finally was able to see beyond the lights, to see what was around me, I realized that I had tubes coming out of my throat and nose, and I knew I was in the hospital. And I still had no idea what was going on, but I knew it was pretty bad because I could hear the beeping from the EKG monitor, and it didn't sound right. It wasn't the beep, beep, beep. It was making all kinds of funky noises. Even as in the state of semi-consciousness I was in, I knew something bad had happened. I just didn't know what. So the next thing I knew, I woke up in a recovery room, and I was looking around, and the nurse was in there. She said, "Try not to breathe too deep. We don't want your heart to stop again." So that made me a little nervous. And everything that had happened over the course of the past week had started coming back to me. At that time, I'd started, memories were coming back, and I was thinking about what had happened, and I knew what I'd done. I was in the psychiatric ward of the hospital because I had overdosed for the third time. 10 years of my life, I had spent an entire decade involved with the wrong people and trying to find the wrong solutions. My solutions were drugs and alcohol. Needless to say, you're seeing me today because it all worked out. But it was this close to not working out at all. So with this being my third stint, the doctor looked at me and he told me, he said, "If you get high or use drugs one more time, you're gonna die." And that was the first time in a decade I had ever believed what someone actually told me. Because he was serious. And I knew I had to make a change. So, I didn't want to. It didn't feel good. I had no family left that wanted any part or anything to do with me. No friends, no contacts, no network, and definitely no money. It was time for a change. I spent the next 15 months in a long-term recovery facility. Best decision I ever made. While I was there, I started college. It took me 6 years to get a bachelor's degree, but I got it. While I was in college, I traveled out of the country for my first time. That gave me a whole new perspective on life. That's why you see these travel vlogs today. I went to Peru in 2014, and I saw Machu Picchu, and I said there are more things around the world like this, and I'm going to see them. I'm going to see them. Along these 7 years, there have been a lot of bumps in the road, there's been a lot of hurdles, been a lot of challenges, but there's also been a lot of triumphs. And one thing I learned very early on, after the whole recovery process started, was that not using drugs became easy. Becoming human was the hard part. Because now I had to internalize all those emotions, those love and compassion and empathy and fear and awareness, self-discipline, things that I had just numbed up for the past decade. I had to embrace, learn how to deal with, learn how to function normally. That was hard. But I have to say, I'm proud of where I'm at today. Definitely made some mistakes along the way. One thing about having a past like mine, it usually comes with an ego problem. Some people will tell you that I may still have an ego problem. I believe my ego problem has diminished significantly from what it was 7 years ago. However, the need for improvement is always constant in my life. And I just wanted to share with you guys that 7 years ago today, on May 13th, 2011, I made the best decision I've ever made, and I haven't looked back. So, if any of you are going through the same thing, going through something similar, at that place in your life where you just don't think things are ever going to get any better, they can only get worse, I'm here to tell you, they can get better. Anything the mind can believe, it can achieve. Someone told me that very early on. I didn't believe it. But I'm standing in an apartment in Bangkok, Thailand, halfway across the planet, living my own life, doing my own thing, doing what I love to do, enjoying myself. So believe it. Anything's possible. You guys take care.